The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, South Snohomish County, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38207. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation. Starting first, just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 closed tow hooks. On the angled portion of the front bumper face, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Just inside that location, you'll find dual air horns, and in the front bumper notch, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up onto the bumper extension onto the passenger side is where you'll find your front inlet. Right next to that, you'll find a storage location with Velcro tie downs for hose storage. Moving over to the driver's side, you'll find an additional storage location for hose with Velcro tie downs, along with a swivel discharge located on the driver's side. Moving up onto the cab face, on the outer edge you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside that location is the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Just above that is the emergency warning light cluster forward facing. And as we move to the center of the grille area, you'll find additional emergency warning lights. Now moving up onto the windshield, there are 3 windshield wipers on the seamless one-piece windshield. And as we move to the outer edge of the A-pillar, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. As we move to the upper portion of the passenger side, you'll find a downward pointing convex mirror. Also on the brow, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Also located on the brow is a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located within inside the light bar in the center space is where you'll find your opticom. And then directly over that space is where you'll find a spotlight controlled from within inside the cab area. Let's take a look at the full driver's side of the vehicle, and we'll focus in on the cab section next. Starting first with Goodyear tires, visual sight gauge into the center of the axle. On the bumper extension, you'll find an emergency warning light side facing. Easily accessible with gloved hands, these are the door lock and latch combination. They are keyed. And then right next to that, you'll find grab handles for gaining entry and exit out of the cab. As we move just to the right of that door handle, you'll find a combination electronic lock, auto eject for shoreline power, emergency warning light directly over the front axle. And then as we move up to the top of the cab roof, you'll find a side-facing scene light. And then just moving slightly to the right, you'll find an additional emergency warning light. Also, as we move to the very rear portion of the cab, D-handle gains you access into an additional storage space. Let's move now just toward the rear of the apparatus with the pump panel. We'll cover this in great detail in just a few moments, and we'll now start with the body section. In front and rear of the rear axle, you'll find wheel chock storage location, marker light, turn indicator. There are also 2 pan doors located within this space, one to the front and one to the rear of the axle. These are for the DEF fill location and ultra low sulfur diesel. Above that, side-facing emergency warning light. As we move to the very top section of the apparatus toward the rear, you'll find a side-facing scene light. And then also as we move toward the rear of the apparatus, you'll find a 360-degree emergency warning light. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus where you'll find an emergency light, brake, turn, and reverse light cluster on both passenger and driver side, folding steps, additional cup switch, which we'll go over in just a few moments. There are 2 discharges located back here. They are both 2.5 inch. In the center, you'll find your backup camera with a protected shroud. As we move toward the upper portion, you'll find directable scene lights, and then as we move to the very top section, rear-facing emergency warning lights. Also at the very top section of the hose bed, you'll find your traffic advisor. Now as we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, full view, and then looking now into the cab section, same configuration and layout. Let's take a look at the body section where you'll find your ladder storage. Moving down now, additional SCBA bottle storage locations in front and rear of the axle, and then also the difference here on this side is your exhaust. We'll also come back and cover the pump panel at a later time. Let's take a look at some close-ups of the front bumper area. First, the bumper extension. As we move to the passenger side, you'll find storage location for your inlet. Moving now to the very center section, emergency warning lights. Down over to the driver's side, hose storage location, 2.5 discharge reduced down to 1.5 for your front bumper. Let's go ahead and move now inside the cab area. We'll start first in the driver's space. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch combination, grab handle, and electric window controls. As we move into the cab area, at the floor level, you'll find when plugged into shoreline power, the battery voltage indicator will illuminate, indicating battery status. You'll also find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, all of the fluid capacities, fluid capacity type, and also amount. As we move to the floor level, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal, and about the left knee of the operator is where you'll find the master battery switch quarter turn, also tech module for your tech team, and then also engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, also for your tech or maintenance team. As below, you'll also find some switches that are located across the bottom. This is the ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit, along with a display port. Just above that, you'll find a load manager, and on the opposite side of the steering column is your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, for pump operations, you need pump engaged, OK to pump illuminating for pump operations before leaving the cab. Also, next to that, you'll find the flat mirror and convex mirror controls. As we look to the steering wheel, your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, airbags, located in the center bolster here. You'll also find controls for windshield wiper controls. As we move now to the dash cluster on the left, you'll find the start ignition switch. Moving further to the right, a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights, along with your headlight switch and panel switch, will allow you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. To the opposite side of the steering column, the OK to engage your high idle indicator and also switch. Into the dash cluster, you'll find the transmission, oil, depth level, and water temperature gauges. On the right, you'll find volts, fuel, front air, rear air. Located in the center, tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and below the tachometer and speedometer, along with information in the digital readout in the center. Looking just to the right, general view here of the driver's space. Let's start first with your command zone. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Touchscreen and function button. See the owner's manual for more information. Engine brake on and off settings for low, medium, and high. Air dump, siren brake, and also mirror heat. As we move further down, pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It's the yellow diamond, which is your rear spring brakes. Also, Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout with an informational note to pump in drive. Let's go ahead and move just to the right where you'll find a radio push to talk button. Heat, air conditioning, and defrost control module. Moving further to the right, 12-volt access via USB. Moving further to the right, 12-volt access via barrel style. Looking overhead of the operator, you'll find a yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 4 inches, length of the vehicle, 32 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating, 42,000 pounds. Also switch panel housing the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Further to the right, you'll find Opticom, momentary Opticom, high beam flash, electronic siren, and roto ray. Let's move slightly to the right in the same plane where you'll find an additional switch panel. These are going to be your scene lights for front scene, driver scene, passenger scene, deck lights, rear cornering lights. When any of these switches have been activated, the green light will illuminate, indicating the switch is active. Further to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor. Some general photos here of the cab stereo. First, we'll point out a warning: do not move your apparatus if this light is flashing, indicating you may have a door or compartment open. Also, your electronic siren control module up at the very top front section on a swivel. Looking toward the rear of the apparatus, there are two forward-facing SCBA seats. Looking behind the driver's seat, this is the manual control handle for the cab lift. Looking overhead in the cab, push on and off white or red lens lights along with your David Clark headset system. Auto eject, moving down to the front wheel, and then moving now into the crew cab space. As we start into this space, just as a reminder, affixed to the door panel are safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch combination, window control, and a grab handle. Overhead air conditioning unit, push on and off white or red lens lights. Also, as we move to the forward section, you'll find two EMS compartments, one on passenger and driver side with netting. General view here of the forward-facing seats, which do house SCBA brackets. Each of those EMS compartments do have LED lighting inside and adjustable shelves. On the rear cab wall, you'll also find 12-volt access direct battery. As we look overhead of those compartments, this is at the ceiling level, you'll find additional storage LED lighting. Also, as we move to the side of those compartments, you'll find 12-volt access via USB. We're now to the very rear portion at the lower floor area. This is your access for daily checks for oil and transmission. To the rear of the officer seat at the roof level, you'll find an additional storage location, and then also EMS compartment in the lower section, adjustable shelving, LED lighting. Also at the very rear wall, you'll find battery direct 12-volt access. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear section. Over the firefighter seats, you have additional storage compartments. And then we'll move now from this position overhead with the door open, LED lighting inside this space. Let's move back to the exterior. Down in the lower section, you'll find long-handle tool storage located here for up to 4 tools, 2 accessed from each side. As we move into the pump panel area, you'll find backboard storage behind the pan door. Moving down, you'll find your pump intake and pump discharge master gauges. You'll also find a vacuum and pressure gauge. They are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. In the upper section, you'll find all of your large diameter discharges. In the lower section, front bumper, discharges 1 and 2. As we move to the right, you'll find your pressure throttle governor. There's also a switch panel located on the right-hand side. One of those is an indicator for pump OK. Also switches here for air horn and also lighting. Moving further down, you'll find an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to increase or decrease sound. Moving further down, you'll find a pavement cooler for your exhaust. Also the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in great detail also. Moving down, you'll find the reel line for your booster reel. And then now moving back up to the top, the tank fill and recirculating line. Moving down into the blue module, which is your water tank level indicator. And then further to the right, you'll find an engine cooler. As we move across the bottom, you'll find all of our driver rear discharge and officer rear discharge. As we move further to the right, you'll find the tank to pump, and then also the primer for your fire pump. It is a push to prime air prime, and it recommends at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices while priming. Moving down into the next section, you'll find discharges 1 and 2. These are 2.5-inch discharges, which are also reduced down to 1.5 inches. An air supply for truck air and also an air outlet. As we move to the right, you'll find a warning placard indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, warning regarding fall hazard. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. The vehicle also is equipped with a TFT valve located on the main driver's side inlet. It is manually controlled, along with a TFT valve on the passenger side, and that's the control module for it. As we move across the bottom, you'll find your front inlet. It's an electric valve. Moving further to the right, you'll find a direct tank fill that's located here along with the electric valve on the right-hand side. Driver's side auxiliary inlet, and then across the bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Warning placard here indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. This is your wattress placard indicating the type of pump that you have and also capacity, 1,750 GPM. And to the right, your main pump drain and manual pump shift. Let's look down to the running board where you'll find a cutout in this section for additional hose storage with Velcro tie downs. As we look just underneath this section, you'll find the driver's side auxiliary inlet drain. And then let's go back to a couple other items. Wattress placard indicating capacity 1,750 GPM. Minimum operation maintenance schedule for test pressure plaque here at 150, 200, and 250 psi. The associated test pressure on the left at GPM and the associated RPM with each of those test pressures. While in pump mode, the governed speed 2,400 RPM. As we move into the body compartments, we'll start at the very top section. Identifying your battery charger, and this is also an inverter. When plugged into shoreline power, this will be active. Down in the lower compartment, I have a pull-out tray. Release mechanism is located on the lower right-hand side. And then also you'll find your air tank drains. They are manually quarter-turn valves for draining water out of your tanks. As we move to the over wheel compartment, adjustable shelf here and a divider. Forward of the axle, you'll find your DEF fill location, which is the blue cap. It is an 8.0 US gallon tank. Now moving to the rear axle, where you'll find Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel. Moving to the rear of the axle, you'll find the ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. It's the silver cap. And then as we move to the rear compartment, adjustable shelves, and also in the lower section, a pull-out tray. Also, there is a Shoreline inverter outlet located here with 4 plugs. In the very bottom section, pull-out tray, release located on the lower right. All compartments are now open for your visualization. As we move now into the rear of the apparatus. All compartments open. Let's focus in on the cup switches on the driver's side rear. First, starting at the top with the air dump, also driver's side hose bed cover, and also passenger side hose bed cover. Down at the very bottom are your deck lights. As we move just to the right of this location, we'll start first with a 2.5-inch discharge. Also, some warning placards are located here. Warning regarding fall hazard. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Also, additional warning here indicating never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's move to the very rear portion of the hose bed. Hose bed dividers are movable. As we move to the lower section, once again, we have those warning placards located on the left-hand side, which you just covered. Moving to the center, you'll find your backup camera. And then also moving to the right, entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement, and also a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening. You'll also have fold-down steps located on the left side, As we move into the compartments in the lower portion, pull-out tray, release located on the right, and adjustable shelf. Officer side, rear 2.5-inch discharge. Moving now around to the passenger side, rear compartment, we have a pull-out tray in the lower section. Also shoreline inverted power. This is a 2-outlet box. Moving forward to this location to the rear of the axle, 3 SCBA bottle storage for spare bottles, and 4 to that, an air pack storage. As we move to the rear axle, Goodyear tires, once again, Alcoa wheel. And now as we move just up from this location, this is that air pack storage location with retaining strap. Moving down is where you're going to find your exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen operation. Please use your pavement cooler. Also, as we move into this compartment, you'll find in the upper right-hand corner, this is your air compressor. When plugged into shoreline power, this will maintain air brake pressure. Let's move now to the midsection and the pump panel area. We'll start at the very top section first, where you have an access cutout with rollers for your red line. Also moving down, same configuration, backboard storage and additional hose storage. Moving now into the pan door behind this space for gaining access behind the pump panel. As we move in, we have a few items here. Let's start first with the reel rewind switch. Moving to the right, the powered equipment rack. We do have a danger sticker located here because of the movement. There's also instructions for raising and lowering. Also, cab lift located here, caution and danger information, along with information for raising and lowering. And then also a caution, ensure the front inlet swivel is facing forward before raising the cab. Pressure hazard warning, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. And then also our large diameter hose, aft and forward discharges. As we move down in the lower section, this is the TFT valve, once again controlled via the electronic control module on the driver's side. Also, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains in the lower section, along with a passenger side auxiliary 2.5-inch female, locally controlled via the ball valve. In the very bottom, this is the front inlet. We have one additional forward of this location also. We have a cutout here in the running board for additional hose storage. Now moving into the cab section, you can see the compartment door open, exposing the storage location, and also long-handled tool storage for up to 2 tools on this side. As we move now into the cab section at the rear, let's start first with affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, grab handle. Overhead, push on and off white or red lens lights, air conditioning unit and storage rear facing on both sides, along with a center tray. There are 2 forward-facing seats that do house SCBA packs at the rear wall. We're now to the exterior. We'll find an emergency warning light and then also the electric door lock combination. Front tire is a Goodyear with Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge into that center axle. Moving on to the officer space, affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch combination, electric window control, and a grab handle. This is the forward section front inlet because of that hump going over the wheel well. And then as we move into the officer space, there is an air pack located in this space. Looking forward from the officer seat is where you'll also find a SRS sticker indicating supplemental restraint system. There is an airbag located here. Please be cautious in mounting any equipment within this area. Also on the A-pillar, you'll find windshield wiper fluid fill location. And then as we move down to the floor level, this is the foot pedal for your mechanical siren. Let's go ahead and move under the officer seat where you'll find additional storage here in this pan door, which is a vented space. Looking overhead now, we'll start on the very far right-hand side outside and move inside of that location, where you'll find the Go Light control module, which is on top of the vehicle for your spotlight. Also, front scene, driver scene, passenger scene, rear cornering lights, and then also your siren brake for your mechanical siren. Moving just to the left of this location, We have seatbelt information, red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted, green in the seat and belted. Full view of the apparatus here, all compartments open on the officer side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ladder rack deployed. Currently housing a 24-foot extension, 14-foot roof, and also a Fraser. We're now moving up to the top dunnage area. Let's start first with the forward section of the cab. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these labels indicating that. As we move into the dunnage area, you'll find a wheel valve located at the very top for your MasterStream device. Your MasterStream device also has an extend-a-gun to increase the angle for deployment of your MasterStream device. As we move to the red line or booster line, you'll find a free tension spool knob and then also manual rewind location. Moving now into the dunnage space for storage, it's where you'll find the water tank top fill location. Moving further back to your hose bed cover, there is yellow diamonds indicating that are reflective the walking space. Both in the open position, movable hose bed dividers. The rest of these images are going to be that of the chassis and also engine compartment. Let's go ahead and take a look underneath the front section. Once the cab has been fully tilted, maintain both equal pressure on the right and left cab cylinder. Store the safety bar into position and do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Once again, maintain equal pressure on both lift cylinders. Let's move into the engine area next. We'll start first at the front section. This is the radiator fill, and there's also a sight gauge. Also, radiator recovery fluid. This is not a fill location. Moving toward the rear of the engine, this is the hydraulic steering fluid, sight gauge, and also dipstick. Dipstick for oil and transmission fill location. Let's go ahead and move now on to the driver's side frame rail. As we move toward the back, you'll find the battery storage location. Underneath that battery box is where you'll find the negative and positive jumper stud. You'll also find to the rear of that the hydraulic oil reservoir for the cab tilt. There'll be no additional audio from this point on. Congratulations, South Snohomish County, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38207. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.